It is nothing airborne we've ever seen.
This week in our series of reports on UFOs, we learned a number of things.
I mean, it is basically sausage-shaped with two dorsal and two ventral
that our
fins.
government has lied about UFO information, that it's withheld
It turns
UFO
around,
files,
it's
perpetuating the myth that all UFOs can be explained
Aliens.
away.
Do they exist or not? For centuries, our humble planet has frequently been a rendezvous point for interstellar travelers. Citizens of Earth have looked to the stars, bearing testimony of what they claim to be visitors from other worlds, traveling in unidentifiable and awe-striking vehicles.
First of all, the objects are not unidentified. We know what they are.
These sightings have been reported since well before the 1600s. One early report describes a mass sighting over the German city of Nuremberg. It was April 14th, 1561, dawn. The witness report described what appeared to be an aerial battle, followed by a large black triangular object and combatant spheres falling to Earth in clouds of smoke. Quoting the report, "After all this there was something like a black spear, very long and thick, sighted. The shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows." Modern interpretations by psychologists claim the unidentified flying objects as a natural phenomenon with religious and military interpretations overlying it. What are we to make of these interpretations? Since the 1950s, thousands of UFO sightings have been reported, but it seems that the government and news media aim to cover up or debunk the possibility of, or even reality of, UFOs visiting our terrestrial abode. In this documentary, we investigate the frequency of UFO sightings framed in news media claimed to be as insignificant or conspiracies since the 1950s. We use the T.E.Riley coding model, a model developed by the renowned interstellar researcher himself, T.E.Riley. The model, broken by a y-axis and an x-axis, categorizes sightings and conclusions of the unique sightings. There are 6 conclusions that most sightings are categorized within. The first is common objects. Common phenomena such as aircraft, weather balloons, satellites, stars, planets, drones, or even birds. Next are hoaxes and pranks. There have been instances where UFO sightings were revealed to be hoaxes or pranks carried out by individuals seeking attention or amusement. The third are psychological explanations. Some UFO sightings have been linked to psychological factors such as optical illusions, sleep disorders, hallucinations, or mass hysteria. Media reports may claim these psychological explanations. Fourth are military or experimental aircraft. In certain instances, UFO sightings may be identified by news media as sightings of classified military or experimental aircraft. News media may report that the UFO was a result of a government or military test. Fifth are natural phenomena, rare natural phenomena such as ball lightning, meteors, and atmospheric anomalies. And finally, there are unidentified flying objects, more commonly known as UFOs or UAPs. Throughout T.E.Riley's research in the field of UFO studies and conclusionary data, he records every time a sighting falls within any given category, and if the conclusion is drawn, that there is a possibility of multiple conclusions from more than one category, he recorded those as well. As an example of how the T.E.Riley model applies, let's take a look at the Dexter UFO incident.
Near Dexter, Michigan, late in March, the first reports were brought in by quiet and sober citizens like Frank Manor.
Frank Manor's UFO remained over his swamp more than 4 hours. His children saw it, his in-laws saw it, residents of the area saw it, the police saw it.
On March 20th, 1966, in Dexter, Michigan, Frank Manor and his son, Ronald, saw hovering over a swamp a luminous car-sized object with a scaly surface, cone-shaped on top and flat on the bottom. It was illuminated green and red with lights blinking. After flying away at high speeds, dozens reported similar sightings across the Midwestern states. At first, it was to be a hoax, but when credible witnesses expressed their concerns, the U.S. Air Force assigned Dr. Hynek to investigate the matter. Traveling from Washington to inspect the site, Hynek was under pressure to give a public explanation. His evaluation were that the recent sightings were mistaken observations of the moon and stars, and the one witnessed by Frank Manor Simply swamp gas. His statements outraged the public. So how does the T.E.Riley model apply to this case? Because the incident was reported by media to be both a hoax and swamp gas, the case is categorized by adding 1 point to each of the categories, hoax or prank, and also natural phenomena. Riley's research produced significant findings. Since the 1990s alone, there have been well over 20,000 sightings globally, and since the 1950s, more than double that figure. How many of which have you heard of? Most likely only a handful. In his research, Riley evaluated 25 articles produced by news outlets, magazines, and publications with conclusions of the validity of the UFO sighting. He categorized the results of the conclusions using his model. We'll review a handful of these cases he studied and the media's conclusion of these sightings. Let's go back to 1952, the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. Dozens of observers witnessed orange balls of fire, clusters of red, orange, and white lights hovering over the White House and the U.S. Capitol building. The Air Force scrambled jets to intercept the objects, but they took off at an unbelievable speed as military aircraft approached. What was the media and government's claim? A temperature inversion. 2 years before, in McMinnville, Oregon, Paul Trent snapped a black and white photo of what appeared to be a UFO in the sky. His wife had been feeding some rabbits when a flying metallic disc moved in her direction, and she got her husband, who brought his camera. What did the media say? It was a fake.
As a pilot and a former Air Force officer, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object that I'd ever seen.
Perhaps one of the most famous sightings was March 13, 1997 in Phoenix, Arizona. Lights of various descriptions were witnessed by thousands of people. What appeared as a massive carpenter square or V-shaped UFO, as it passed without a sound, it moved towards the mountains. It was described as one of the most widely witnessed UFO events in history, but covered up by the military and media as a military operation. Of recent interest, U.S. Navy pilots witnessed in 2004 flying objects through Earth's atmosphere at incredibly high speeds, descending 80,000 feet in less than a second. There were no wings, exhaust plumes, or markings, and accelerated so quickly it was detected 60 miles away less than a minute later. The Department of Defense released 3 videos taken by Navy pilots, of which sightings remain unidentified to this day. From the 25 articles T.E.Riley studied, there were 16 identifications as common objects, 6 as hoaxes or pranks, 2 as psychological explanations, 8 as military or experiential craft, 7 as natural phenomena, and only 4 as UFOs. In total, there were 43 conclusions made in these 25 incidents. Only 4 remain as unexplained or unidentifiable flying objects. Given that that ratio was blown to a larger scale, that would mean that 9% of reported sightings are indeed genuine UFOs. The question is, which ones are authentic UFOs from extraterrestrial visitors? It's difficult to discern based off the media and government information that's provided to the public. Riley's findings suggest there may be a concept of framing at play. Does the government want us to be aware of these sightings? What would it mean for our nation's security and technological advancements if the information was widely known? It could be that the media and government are framing the information in a way that concludes these sightings as insignificant altogether. By deflecting the conversation and claiming a UFO as a meteor or as a weather balloon, they keep the public misinformed and give themselves time to study and understand the situation. However, this can also be harmful to the public. Applying the concept of framing, we see that there is a selection of information. Reporters and government officials select which information is necessary for the public to know. Then they emphasize their point that the sighting was merely anything other than a UFO. They exclude information and elaborate on information they'd prefer us to think about. This masks the reality of UFOs, but with images and videos coming to light of out-of-this-world phenomena, we have no reason to doubt that there is advanced civilization beyond our atmosphere. The findings of T.E.Riley are extraordinary. His research brings to light the possibility that there are experiences with UFO and extraterrestrial life that is being downplayed, censored, and normalized. What does it mean for us? We should scrutinize the results and explanations we receive from the media and the government. With curiosity, question whether framing is at hand, as information may be withheld from the public. Until more answers are given, look up and feel inspired that there are more advanced methods of space travel ahead in our human history of interstellar and aeronautic advancements. Look up and make room for what could be your future next-door neighbor.